Welcome to the Digital Week. I'm Monica Bradley, and joining me for the Digital Week this week, Michael Rosemann.
Monica, lovely seeing you.
Marek Kowalkiewicz.
How are you?
Awesome to be back again.
That's great, it has been a while.
It has been a while. It's an exciting year. We've been off changing the world one business model at a time. Interesting times, a lot in the press at present time around strategy, digitalisation, digitalisation. Everyone has one. Every business publication I pick up is talking about where's my market leadership coming from, my strategy around digital. But Marek, tell me, you wrote a very good piece this week. Tell me what your take is on.
That's right. So over the past few months, I actually realized I'm not sure what's the difference between digitization and digitalization. And
Okay, let's get that right.
Yeah.
Digitization. Right.
And digitalization.
Digital, okay.
Right?
Got it.
I thought they were synonyms, really, because, well, people were using them like synonyms. So I thought, I need to dig deeper and try to understand what's the difference, or perhaps almost create, new definitions. So I wrote that short piece, which really boils down to highlighting a difference between the two terms. Digitization, the shorter of the two, is all about technology. It's all about applying new technologies on the existing business models, operations of your organizations to make it operate better. And we've seen it from probably 1980s. We didn't call it digitization back then, by the way, but we've seen it a lot. Digitalization, the longer one with the AL in the middle, digitalization is all about completely new ways of thinking. Right? It's all about looking at the technology that you might already have and then thinking, what new value does it enable? And in my view, a truly digital business is both digitized and digitalized.
Wow. Okay, I've got to let that sink in. And as a, someone who has like dyslexia into how I put my words together, just missing an owl makes a big difference. Michael, you've come from business process engineering, right?
Yes.
You're the engineer, the designer, lots of stuff. I like to call it left-hand side, right-hand side. So if we go left side, digitization. Tell me about what you see in that space. Why is that even still sexy?
Yeah, I agree with Marek. We know this since the 70s and 80s. We used to call it automation. It was all about blending what a system can do towards the problems. And this is where our terminology came from. Pain points, root causes, Lean, Six Sigma. Automation is a massive pain relief to the organization.
I like that, pain relief.
The topic, of course, is Marek is not gone. So we see the sort of second wave, automation 2.0, you call it digitization.
Yeah.
Now it's not just implementing a massive piece of software and replacing paper. We do robotic workflow, we do machine learning, we use voice to talk to the government. So we see enter a new level of sophistication in that space of what you call digitization.
Absolutely.
And then the digitalization, Marek.
And the digitalization is all about exploring what is the new value that can be created that was not possible before. It's all about creation rather than just automation, right? So yes, we could be applying digital technologies. Yes, we could be applying robots, but if the only thing that we do is replacing traditional processes, let's say human processes, with automated processes, or if the only thing that we do is putting robots in exactly the same spots where we had humans, this is not yet creation. This is not creation of a completely new value. When we start thinking about that IT, the technology that we have, and we start to think, what does it enable that wasn't possible before at all? Not scale, but the type of new possibilities, that's the digitalization.
Okay, so if I'm a CEO or I'm on the board, as I am on a number of companies, and I think about the things that keep me awake at night, I'm seeing an agenda around innovation, or people are bringing me digital strategies, and they're telling me we must do this, we must do that. A lot of it, as I now understand it, would be digitization, right? It's Michael's side of the fence. They're asking me to get data analytics involved. They're asking me to make sure that every element of my business is captured in a digital format so that we can leverage the data. They're asking us to develop new channels that are largely digital. So still left side?
I agree. I think a lot of executives have sleepless nights because they worry about the left side. They worry about I don't automate, I don't streamline enough.
Or will it fail?
Or will it fail?
Am I spending on the wrong technologies?
Correct.
Okay.
But
On the
very
right-hand side, let's go straight to the right, I'm staying awake at night wondering what's coming around the corner that I can't see that might disrupt me or might change impact on my business. Or is there value I'm leaving on the table from my current assembly of assets being organised in a different way?
That's right. I'm staying sleepless because I know that there are new opportunities. I know that there are new possibilities. I just don't know what they are.
Okay.
So,
I probably disagree. I feel you sleep really well and you shouldn't because you don't
That's
know
right.
what's possible.
yeah.
I like
we
that.
call it
Unconscious
sleepless
incompetence.
nights. That's
Yeah.
right. You sleep too well. And I think
So we've got Michael on board. I can sleep, right? I have Marek on board. I should be awake.
you should be awake. That's right.
Maybe not exactly. Okay, so let's delve another layer down. You know, what are the attributes at an organisational level I might notice? Like on the left-hand side, what's style? How does it operate?
So this is where we have a whole tradition of thinking like a business analyst. We unpack problems, we're very analytical, we're very logical. We typically end up with very predictable outcomes, and it's typically a very well-defined business case.
So it can be measured.
Can be measured.
Those KPIs can be right on the line.
Correct. So we've got
Cost to serve
reports,
reduces.
dashboards, KPIs, project management, textbook exercising, typically utilizing proven technologies.
So I'm going to see at the board level or at the C-suite level, I'm going to see an efficiency upgrade. So I'm going to make more money because what I currently do today is going to cost me less, or I'm going to do more with less.
Correct. So we take out variation, we reduce cost to serve, we increase the predictability of the organization.
Okay, let's go right-hand side,
That's
Marek.
right. And by the way, this approach that Michael just described is absolutely correct and perfect in specific circumstances when
Got
the
it.
markets are not crowded and so on. But the moment we move into the so-called red ocean, where we have cutthroat competition.
Was that like what blue ocean used to be?
Yeah,
That's
so
now
the
red?
opposite of a blue ocean
Okay,
is
so
a
red
red
ocean,
ocean,
okay.
where you have everyone competing for
like a
the-
Shark Tank.
Exactly.
Oh.
So in a red ocean, basically that sort of salami slicing your business models, those micro improvements do not take you anywhere. You really need to sort of break out and start thinking differently. So this is where the traditional ways of thinking are necessary but not enough for success. So then you need to apply those new ways of thinking, exploration of potentially new business models, experimentation, perhaps running sidecar business models where you still have your cash cow, but you experiment with a completely new approach as well.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, on the left-hand side, digitisation is about really operating model. That's my focus. I'm making that the best it can possibly be using every available technology. And on the right-hand side, I'm looking at the business model innovation. So
Yep.
I'm working on the model. I'm not working in the operating model. I'm working on the outside business model.
That's right, and you never have a final business models. You keep a business model. You keep refining it, right? So you're not designing for a particular state. You're designing for continuous change.
Okay. Some examples. Have we got someone who's working left-hand side intensively, right-hand side? Any companies you can think of at the moment?
I mean, if I take Amazon Prime, for me it's a typical example for the left side, where someone went, deployed the latest technology, predictive shopping, predictive forecasting, utilizing latest digital technologies, but ultimately optimized within the business model.
Still selling me carrots, celery.
But
That's right.
costs are reduced, time is reduced, so if cost and time matters, then I think the left side is very much a valid option.
Marek, what are you seeing the right-hand side?
Take any digital organization, any big name that you can think of, search engines, mobile phone producers, and so on, and think about the industry they're in. Then move 5 years back and ask what industry they were in 5 years ago. They typically move from industry to industry. They're in
Like
search engine.
Telstra's now not a telecommunications company. It's a
That's right.
technology company.
Correct.
That's probably those sort of words.
You
right?
have
Everyone's a
companies
technology
in media streaming that move to media production, for
Right,
instance,
okay.
right? They completely they're never stuck to a particular
Okay.
industry.
And if I'm looking at specifically, we like to work on the jobs of the future. So what sort of talent, if I'm the C-suite or if I'm in the decision-making roles, do I look for to in order that I'm getting this balance with left and right-hand side, digitization, digitalisation? What, for instance, Michael, are you seeing as the leading talents you need for digitization?
So right now it's still the exploration of really emerging technologies. Machine learning, artificial intelligence,
Blockchain.
voice recognition, blockchain, but with a focus on how do they help me to streamline my often cost or time-centered business model.
All about efficiency,
Correct.
making the best you possibly can be? Or is it also about creating then digital assets that can be applied by Marek in new ways?
That could be a side effect. So we could use this to develop an incredibly data-rich environment, and this oversupply of data might lead to new digital assets that could be
Okay.
That's right.
commercialized.
Talents on the right-hand side?
So the moment you have this data-rich environment, a skill that is absolutely required is an ability to look at the data and understand the patterns.
Design.
The sort of the inductive, deductive thinking, seeing the big picture from the small elements and the other way around. Design, creation, ability to spot new trends, right? So that ability to continuously scan the environment. These are all mostly soft skills that are enabled by the hard skills that Michael talked about.
Streaming from, it's coming really from the creation design stream of thinking as opposed to engineered skills.
Yeah.
Is that a little bit of the break?
That could be a focus. So you've got analysis versus design, or the kind of more streamlining of what we've seen as opposed to the creating of something entirely new. So I think there's a bit of a yin and yang, but it's important that both is needed, both is equally important, and sometimes the left could be more important than the right, or the other way around.
That's
Got
right.
it. What about jobs? What's a job title of what we're seeing in the future? Marek, why don't you start us off? What are some of these new job titles?
Well, so the discussion that we had today, I think there's an absolute need for someone who creates those new business models.
So are they an architect, like a business model architect?
That's right, and you know, an architect that continues to be an architect, you know, is never happy with their
Refines.
creation.
I don't think
right?
architects
Yeah.
are ever happy with their creation.
That's a good point.
Because once they hand over the house, which would be once you've designed it, presumably in the new world,
They know how they would improve.
you've got a
it.
business model. It
Yeah.
then goes to Michael's highly efficient left-hand digitization side, and there's a lot of implementation or adoption, right?
That's right.
Correct. So an example that I would imagine is like the convenience designer. We talked about experience design, which matters on the right.
Yeah.
But we're obsessed with convenience design. How do I make sure that your fridge is full, your car finds a car park,
Yeah.
and your car's insured?
Or even optimization,
Well, optimization is of course a buzzword heavily used on the
but
left.
personal optimization.
Personal. I think it's hyper convenience versus hyper experience.
Oh,
That's
Michael,
right.
you've done it
And,
again.
yeah.
You have done it
CX,
again.
That's right.
I love that. I love that. That's very, very cool. Excellent. So, coming to the last word, again, we're talking today about digital strategies, largely as a generic topic, and the difference between digitalisation and digitisation.
That's right.
Marek, tell us about your last words on it. What would you like C-suite and our listeners to hear about this? What can they do today in their business?
Well, first of all, they need to bring this clarity to their conversations. When they talk about digitization, they need to ask this question: are we really talking about digitization? Are we talking about automation? Are we talking about mass production, and so on and so on? Are we perhaps talking about digitalization? So I would like organizations to really add this clarity to the language.
And Michael, you're always the ampersand. You are my
Sure.
ampersand as well as my thinking husband. But it's the and, isn't it?
It is the end. I think it's being able to play in both games, but I also like to highlight often the digital economy emphasizes the goodness of the creation, the obsession with design,
Right.
creativity, and innovation. Well, I think it's of equal, if not even of higher importance, to keep on capitalize on latest technologies for nothing else than maximizing convenience and efficiency.
And the most startling example of exactly that point came to me this week in a session we did with a government agency, where the digitalisation of legislation. If we don't digitise what we've legislated, we can't then create new business models for how we engage with government. They give us whole new opportunities. So as we come to the end, again, guys, awesome time. Thank you, Marek, for your time, and Michael.
Thanks, Monica.
Please, we are really interested in our listeners. So if this is something that you're seeing in your business, can you let's engage in this conversation. Let's find LinkedIn. We're at Chair Digital Economy at Twitter. Come back and give us your examples of which do you find, or are you in the ampersand Michael world of are you digitising and digitalising at the same time? It's an ever-ending question, but we're here today to make sense of those topics so you can improve your business. Thanks for listening. I'm Monica Bradley, and this is the PwC Chair in the Digital Economy.